Previously on Knuckhead.
I'm going to let you guys vote which series I cover next in round 2. You have 4 choices: Washington against Carolina, Toronto against Florida, Vegas against Edmonton, or Winnipeg against Dallas. Whichever one gets the most votes is the one I'm going to go with. Okay, it's true. The second round ended before I could get a single video out, but that doesn't mean I have nothing to say. I watched every single game of this Winnipeg-Dallas series with a magnifying glass and a notepad, and here's what stood out to me. Jets forward Mark Scheifele is the quintessential hockey player. Before this series, I honestly thought he was overrated, but now it's clear to me that it's actually the complete opposite. After sitting out the final 2 games of Winnipeg's first round series against the St. Louis Blues with an undisclosed injury, Scheifele was back in the lineup for Game 1, and he was noticeable right from the jump. He was hyping his teammates up on the bench, he was getting scoring chances, he scored, and overall he made a significant impact throughout the entire series, but I noticed him most in Game 5, and it wasn't just because he scored what ended up being the game-winning goal for Winnipeg. No, it was also because he provoked Stars captain Jamie Benn into throwing a temper tantrum in the middle of the game. Jamie Benn didn't really play all that well in this series. In fact, he was kind of a dud. Here he is giving the puck away in his own end, resulting in a goal against. He also took way too many penalties. His team was able to kill them all off though, so lucky for him, none of them resulted in a goal against, but still. He was trying to get involved physically, which I respect, but for the most part, he was just getting bullied out there. He missed an empty net in Game 3, which didn't hurt his team, it was just kind of funny. And yeah, he threw a temper tantrum and sucker punched Scheifele in the face in Game 5. Not exactly what you want to see from the captain of your team if you're a Stars fan. The captain on the other end of the ice, however, was stellar. I remember being a little confused when Winnipeg decided to name Adam Lowry their captain back in September of 2023. I don't follow the Jets too closely, but picking him over Kyle Connor, Josh Morrissey, and especially over Mark Scheifele just felt strange to me. But now I get it. Adam Lowry is captain material. Fresh off an impressive showing in round 1, a performance he capped off by scoring the series-clinching goal in double overtime of Game 7, Lowry picked up right where he left off. He was buzzing around the net, earning tons of scoring chances, one of which he managed to capitalize on, but more than anything, it was his physicality that stood out most for me. He was throwing his body around every chance he got. He was hitting guys were hitting him. In fact, I think he spent more time flying through the air than he did on the actual ice in this series. Something I'm sure Dallas fans would have loved to see more of from their 6'5" left winger Mason Marchment. Don't get me wrong, Marchment was physical in this series, but he spent most of his time complaining to the refs. In fact, the most notable thing he did came in Game 3 when he slashed a referee. Well, kind of. He got slashed by Scheifele, the refs missed it, and he was pissed, so he gave the referee's shin a little love tap on his way off the ice. Nothing crazy, I'm sure it didn't hurt, but that's a big no-no in hockey. You can't touch the ref like that. Somehow he got away with it and was able to continue whining for the rest of the series. Making up for Marchment's lack of physicality, however, was the 6'7", 21-year-old rookie defenseman from Switzerland, Lian Bichsel. Bichsel is a beast. He's great defensively, especially for a younger player, and that's pretty important because he is a defenseman, but it's his size and the way he uses it that really stands out. This guy accumulated 31 hits in this series, including 13 in Game 3. 13! That's Kiefer Sherwood numbers. The only player that stood out to me more in that game was Mikko Rantanen, who potted 3 points in a 5-2 win for Dallas, including an assist on the game-winning goal and this beautiful insurance marker he scored just a minute later to put the game out of reach for the Jets. I don't think it'd be a stretch to say that Mikko Rantanen, aka Moose, has been the league's best player through the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. He took a second to get going with just 1 point in the first 4 games of round 1, but in the final 3, he had 5 goals and 6 assists for 11 points. 11! He played a massive part in eliminating his former team, the Colorado Avalanche, in round 1, and he wasn't even close to thinking about slowing down in round 2. Moose picked up right where he left off in Game 1. He absolutely dominated, mainly the second period, where he scored 3 goals in less than 8 minutes. 3 goals in less than 8 minutes, becoming the 3rd player in NHL history to have back-to-back hat-tricks in the playoffs, and the first since Jari Kurri did it for the Oilers back in 1985. Insane. Rantanen's offensive awakening came at a great time for Dallas, considering they were missing their best goal scorer for the entirety of round 1, Jason Robertson. Robertson was back in the lineup for the first game of round 2, but he didn't really do much of anything in this series aside from notching a power play assist on MIKAEL GRANLUND's first goal of game 4. And yeah, I said first because while GRANLUND was noticeable in all 6 games, it was game 4 where he really shined. He scored all 3 goals for the Stars in a 3-1 win, a couple of which I'm sure Winnipeg goalie Connor HELLEBUYCK would love to have back. In fact, the biggest knock against HELLEBUYCK, who is widely considered to be the best goalie in the world right now, is that he often struggles to carry his elite regular season play into the playoffs. And to be honest, for whatever reason, it's kind of true. In 2023, the Jets were ousted in the first round by the Vegas Golden Knights after allowing 19 goals against in just 5 games. That's an average of 3.8 goals against per game. Then, in 2024, they were eliminated again in round 1, this time by the Colorado Avalanche after allowing 28 goals against in just 5 games. That's an average of 5.6 goals against per game. Of course, you can't pin all the blame on HELLEBUYCK. It's a team sport and he'll never be able to stop everything, but it is peculiar. It's not like the Jets have a bad defensive core. And this year, it looked like it might be an issue again. HELLEBUYCK was fairly inconsistent in their first round matchup against the Blues. They did end up winning the series, obviously, but it took them a full 7 games to do it. And in the 3 games they lost, they were outscored 17-5. That's 5.7 goals against per game. However, HELLEBUYCK's goaltending was not an issue in round 2 against the Dallas Stars. He looked like regular season Bucky out there. He gave his team a chance to win every single game. HELLEBUYCK finished the series with a .905 save percentage and an average of just 2.17 goals against per game, including shutouts in both Game 2 and Game 5. Buck was clutch and the fans were loving it. Speaking of the fans, Games 1 and 2 were in Winnipeg and the sold-out crowd at Canada Life Centre were cheering their team on by chanting US backup at opposing goalie Jake Oettinger. For context, Oettinger, also known as OTTER, was named Connor HELLEBUYCK's backup for Team USA at the recent Four Nations Face-Off tournament and is likely to reprise that role at next year's Winter Olympics as well, and Jets fans see that as proof their goalie is the better of the two. However, Games 3 and 4 were in Dallas, giving the sold-out crowds at American Airlines Center a chance to reply, and they got straight to the point with it.
Back to the point, DeMello, through the traffic.
And look, to be honest, as good as HELLEBUYCK was in this series, the Stars fans were right. OTTER was better. Team USA's backup goalie was absolutely insane. He was so damn good. Oettinger faced 170 shots in this series and saved 93% of them. He earned an average of just 2 goals against per game, and some of the saves he was making were ridiculous. He robbed Adam Lowry on a shorthanded breakaway in Game 2. He robbed NIKOLAJ EHLERS in Game 5. It genuinely looked like a brick wall was in net for Dallas at times. It was kind of unfair, actually. The biggest save OTTER made in this series came with just 8 minutes left in Game 6. Tied 1-1, the puck found its way onto the stick of Mason Appleton with a wide open net, and, well, he flubbed it. Don't get me wrong, it was still a 6 save because if Oettinger didn't make it, it may have led to the Jets forcing a Game 7 back in Winnipeg, but if we're being honest, Appleton screwed this one up. I'm sure he'll be replaying this moment in his head all summer, if not for the rest of his life. Tough. But no single player was more robbed than Winnipeg's top goal scorer, Kyle Connor. After watching him play in this series, I understand how he's managed to average 35 goals a season over his entire career so far. He gets so many scoring chances. Connor was all over the net in this series, but Oettinger didn't let him cash in on any of them. Except for one. But 1 goal in 6 playoff games is not ideal for a player like Kyle Connor. He got OTTER'd. However, Connor's teammate NIKOLAJ EHLERS was cashing in nearly every night. He finished this series with 5 goals in 6 games, which is wild considering coming into this year's postseason, he hadn't scored a playoff goal since May 23rd, 2021. That's 14 games without a goal. No one, not even Mikko Rantanen, scored more goals than EHLERS did in this series. But unfortunately, it wasn't enough. After a hard-fought Game 6 that saw Mark Scheifele suit up for action despite learning of the sudden loss of his father just a few hours prior to the game, the Jets lost 2-1 in overtime, and for the 3rd year in a row, the Dallas Stars are headed to the Western Conference Final, and they're up against the same team that beat them last year, Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers. Now, look, I did intend on following this series game by game, but life got in the way a little bit and I had to adjust, so I won't make any promises as to how I cover round 3, but I will let you guys choose which series I follow next. You have 2 choices: Dallas against Edmonton or Florida against Carolina. Let me know in the comments. Thanks to these wonderful knuckheads who chose to support what I do by clicking the join button to become channel members. Thank you for watching. Bye. You see that video thumbnail that just popped up on the screen? Click it. It'll be a good prank. Click it.